Welcome, curious soul, to Tales of the Tattered Book. I am your host, the keeper of the book, guardian of an ancient tome whose pages fill themselves with stories of terror and wonder. Each week as midnight approaches, this mysterious book reveals new tales of horror, some pulled from history's darkest corners, while others reach us from realms beyond human understanding. As I open this arcane tome, remember, knowledge comes at a price, and some truth are better left unspoken. Tonight, we journey to the dark heart of New England, where a priest's mission of salvation becomes a descent into personal hell. In the shadows of faith, we'll discover that the most terrifying demons are often those we create ourselves. Steel your nerves as we uncover the sins of the father.
Under a pale moonlight, the New England landscape appeared almost otherworldly. The rusted wheels of a lone wagon echoed and groaned as it bounced along the uneven path, guided by a stooped figure hunched over the reins. Inside the wagon, Father Cormac clutched a worn letter from the Archbishop. The parchment, wrinkled from constant fretting, bore the marks of countless rereads. The message had consumed Cormac's thoughts for the past fortnight. Evil must be banished from Hollowbrook, it read. Your faith is your weapon. Your will is your shield. A single name was burned into the parchment. Pauline Thorne, the woman who was rumoured to be at the heart of the malevolent happenings in Hollowbrook. Father Cormac reread the letter again for what felt like the 100th time. And so, with nothing but a wooden rosary and steadfast belief, Father Cormac, one of the few remaining exorcists in New England, ventured into the heart of darkness. Finally, Hollowbrook emerged from the dense forest. A cluster of weathered timber houses huddled around a solitary church. The wagon creaked to a stop before a ramshackle farmhouse. The Thorne family home, offering the most unsettling sight. Dead birds littered the ground and the front porch, their feathers scattered across the path like a grotesque welcome mat. On the left wall, scrawled in what Father Cormac hoped was smud, was a single, chilling word: witch. Just as the wind picked up, a disgusting stench came from the direction of the stable, carrying with it a low, guttural moan. Father Cormac instinctively found the wooden rosary in his pocket, and he began to mutter quiet words of prayer as he approached the front door of the Thorne residence. Taking a deep breath, he knocked on the door. It creaked open to reveal a gaunt man with haunted eyes, William Thorne, the local pastor and Pauline's father.
Good evening. I apologize for being so late.
He began.
My name is Father Cormac. I have come on behalf of the Archbishop. I am here for Pauline.
Ah, Father Cormac.
William replied, offering a rough hand to the priest.
We have been expecting you. Please, come this way.
He led Father Cormac into a small living room, where flickering candlelight revealed a scene of controlled chaos. Frau Martha Thorne, Pauline's mother, stood twisting her hands in silent worry, while two young identical twin girls with blonde braids and wide fearful eyes clung to their mother's skirts.
We had to lock up Pauline in the stable. It wasn't safe for her or the girls to be in the same house.
Why don't you take me to her immediately?
Before we do that, there is something I need to show you, Father.
William's voice trailed off into the silence. He nodded towards a wooden staircase at the corner of the room. He began to ascend, expecting Father Cormac to follow. They reached a dimly lit hallway at the top, lined with framed family portraits, frozen in happier times. Pauline's ginger hair cascading over her shoulders. her green eyes sparkling with life. But William didn't pause to reminisce. Instead, he led Father Cormac to a door at the end of the corridor.
This is Pauline's room.
The first thing that struck Father Cormac was the temperature drop in Pauline's room compared to the rest of the house. It was as if he had stepped from a hot summer's day into the depths of winter. The room was almost bare, except for an unmade bed, a small table, and a worn teddy bear lying abandoned in a corner. The second and most disturbing thing he noticed were the walls, which were covered in strange symbols and writings in various languages. Father Cormac recognized Greek, Latin, French, Hebrew, Arabic, and even what looked like Aramaic. One phrase stood out, repeated over and over. The father's sin binds God and Satan.
Pauline did this?
William simply nodded.
She did. One morning we found her room like this. She was in the middle, scribbling on the floor in a trance-like state. We didn't understand. We still don't. Then, things started happening. Items in the house moved on their own, windows shattered without reason, and finally, the animals started showing up dead.
Father Cormac moved closer to the wall, tracing a finger over the odd symbols. The priest recognized them from his time as an apprentice under an old mentor in Rome. They were seals, powerful symbols used in various occult practices. But they had no place here, in a girl's room in New England.
And these writings?
She's been hearing voices.
The pastor admitted, sounding defeated.
They tell her what to write. She says they won't stop until...
Until what?
Until everyone pays for their sins.
This was no ordinary possession case. The symbols, the writings, the unnatural chill. Something far more sinister was at play.
I need to see her,
he said, his voice firm despite the tremor in his heart. The stable where Pauline was kept was about 100 yards from the main house. The trip was a short but tense one. Despite his experience, the feeling of dread never seemed to lessen with each case, and this was no exception. The stable was dark, save for a single lantern hanging unsteadily from a low beam and empty of any livestock. A thin figure huddled in the corner, rocking back and forth slightly.
Pauline?
Father Cormac called out softly, his gaze locked with the young woman before him. Pauline, no older than 16, appeared impossibly fragile. Her thinness was so pronounced that a single wrong move felt like it could shatter her like glass. Fiery red hair, usually worn in a neat braid, now clung to her forehead, in tangled rivers of blood. Her normally rosy cheeks were sunken and hollow. The delicate skin stretched taut over prominent cheekbones. A ragged nightgown, once a soft blue, hung limply from her emaciated form, revealing raw scratches and bruises that marred the once innocent canvas of her skin. Pauline's head snapped up, her eyes glowing with an unnatural light.
Pauline is not at home, Father. It's only you and me here.
Father Cormac took a cautious step forward.
And who are you then, if you are not Pauline?
A cruel smile twisted Pauline's lips.
I am your God.
You may attempt to deceive me, but I am not easily fooled.
A laugh escaped from Pauline's lips, the sound echoing through the empty stable. Her voice was mercurial, sometimes high and childlike, other times deep and gravelly, as if people were speaking in unison.
Who's playing tricks on whom here, Father?
She inquired, still chuckling. Ignoring the taunts, Father Cormac reached into his pocket and pulled out a small vial of holy water. After a quick prayer, he started.
In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
His voice steady but firm. He flicked the water in Pauline's direction. It sizzled as it hit her skin, enveloping her in a thin layer of smoke. She screamed in agony as he continued the rites of exorcism.
Exorcismus te, omnis immundus spiritus, omnis satanica potestas, omnis incursio
All of a
infernalis
sudden,
adversari.
Pauline's body lifted off from the damp stable floor and hovered just under the low beams of the ceiling. Father Cormac didn't falter. Instead, he clutched his wooden rosary in one hand and held high his crucifix in the other.
I demand you to release this girl in the name of our Lord, Jesus Christ.
Pauline's voice rang out. A chorus of deep roars and high-pitched screams accompanying her words. Father Cormac maintained his ground as the crucifix in his hand began to glow with a bright light. With a final cry, he shouted,
Dominus vobiscum, ego te absolvo.
Suddenly, Pauline's body collapsed to the ground, her small frame jerking uncontrollably for a few moments before finally becoming still. When she spoke again, it was in her own voice.
Father, please help me.
The chains rattled as she strained to reach him, and as she did, Father Cormac noticed a peculiar bracelet on her left wrist. It was a simple band with intricate carvings and a small silver cross.
Where did you get that bracelet?
He asked, his voice trembling.
It was my mother's.
She stammered, confusion lacing her words.
She gave it to me before.
The priest recoiled in horror, a wave of memories washing over him.
Her name was Marie. Marie Leclerc.
The name dropped like a heavy rock within the priest's heart. It was the same name, the same bracelet that he had given to the woman he loved 17 years ago. An error, a mistake, a sin he never confessed.
I can't believe it. This is impossible.
Then he fell silent. He recalled the family portrait back in the house. The blonde-haired twins clinging to their mother, their features echoing each other. A stark contrast to the girl before him, with her fiery red hair and emerald eyes. Shame and horror washed over him as he realized what it all meant. He stammered, the word catching in his throat.
I am such a fool, isn't? The Thorns are not your family?
Pauline shook her head.
They bought me from the orphanage after my mother died.
Pauline's eyes widened as if she remembered something crucial.
You shouldn't be here.
Fear crept into her voice as she continued.
They are fanatics, utterly devoted to...
But then, the demon's voice returned harsh and mocking.
They are not family. They are servants.
The priest's heart pounded in his chest as the gravity of those words sank in. He had come to this godforsaken place to save a girl from demonic possession, only to find himself embroiled in a grander scheme. He needed to escape, to warn the church about the family. Perhaps there was still a way to save Pauline. Just as he turned to leave the stable, William Thorne appeared in the doorway, with eyes as black as coal and a smile so grotesque it could curdle milk. The rest of the family emerged behind him, joined by a group of 50 individuals, all holding torches and wearing dark hoods.
Leaving so soon, Father?
When Father Cormac awoke, he found himself hanging upside down on an inverted cross. His hands and feet were nailed to the wooden beams, causing intense pain to course through his body. As he looked up, he saw Pauline, his daughter, standing before him.
"Hello, Father.
She said in a detached tone.
Do you see the truth now?"
She held out her ink-stained hands for him to see. The words scrawled on Pauline's hands burned into in his mind once again. The father's sin binds God and Satan. As if reading his thoughts, Pauline's head tilted, her voice a chilling monotone.
"Yes, Father. Your sin binds us all."
Suddenly, a crackling sound erupted below the platform where Father Cormac hung. He looked down to see flames licking at a carefully constructed pyre stacked beneath him. The realization struck him like a physical blow. The trial wasn't just for Pauline's soul. It was for his own.
"The past cannot be undone."
Pauline continued, her voice rising in a crescendo.
"The sins of the father are paid for by the blood of the innocent."
The flames danced higher, licking at the edges of the wooden beams. Father Cormac strained against his restraints. He could feel the heat singeing his hair, the first agonizing licks of fire against his skin.
"This is your legacy, Father. The sins of the father, consumed by the flames of his own creation."
With a final, earth-shattering roar, the flames engulfed Father Cormac. In his last conscious moment, as fire claimed what remained of his mortal form, he looked into Pauline's eyes, his daughter's eyes, and finally understood. The prophecy had never needed demons or spirits. It had only ever needed his sin, his abandonment, his denial. In creating her and then forsaking her, he had forged the perfect vessel for something ancient that had been waiting for precisely this sacrifice. A father consumed by the very flesh he had once abandoned.
And so, dear listeners, we leave Father Cormac to the inferno of his own making. Remember, the past has a way of catching up to us all, and some sins can never truly be absolved. In the dance between good and evil, we are all both sinner and saint. If you dare to delve deeper into these eldritch mysteries, subscribe to our podcast, leave a rating and review, and whisper of our tales to others. Your engagement feeds the book, fueling the terrors yet to come. Until next time, and may your nights be sleepless and your dreams unsettling.